There's a moment that happens during every ultra marathon. Usually it's after midnight. The trail goes quiet, the aid stations become farther apart, your headlamps bouncing with every step, and everything outside of that small beam of light disappears. You can't see the next hill. You can't see the next set of switchbacks coming up. You can't see the next aid station right around the corner. All you can see is about 10 feet of trail in front of you. And that's it. But here's the strange part. That tiny little circle of light is enough. Because if you keep moving forward, the trail keeps appearing, step by step, foot by foot. And the more time you spend doing this, the more you realize something. That running in the dark just isn't part of the race. It's part of the process. So today we're going to talk about running in the dark, the gear, the strategy, the mistakes that I've personally made, and the lessons that those dark miles can teach you. Welcome to the UltraNurse Podcast. This is where we run long and work even longer. I'm your host, Brad, a flight nurse, paramedic, Data 3, and a mid-of-the-pack ultra runner, just trying to figure this whole thing out 1 mile at a time. This podcast is about running, especially long, while balancing shift work, family, life, and everything else that comes with it. If you run long enough, especially if you run ultras, you're going to spend some time running in the dark. It's unavoidable. It really is. And sometimes that means early morning runs before work. I do a lot of them. A lot. There's my Lloyd impression for the show. But, a lot of times before my shift start at 6:30 or 7 in the morning, depending if it's a 24 or 12, I'm privileged that I have my trails right along the way to work. I just veer off the highway for 5 minutes or whatever, and I'm at the trails. And then I get a shower at work, yada, yada, yada. So I do a lot of runs in the dark before my shifts in the early morning hours. And then, sometimes it means running in the dark after your shifts too, like at night. I generally don't do those too much, but I will go out every once in a while, like once or twice before a 100-miler, like a month out or 2 months out or whatever. And I'll do let's start at 8 and run till midnight or 1 in the morning. You know what I mean? Just to get a little taste of running during those hours. But, and then sometimes running in the dark means running in the actual race, right? I got buddies doing a Georgia Death race in like 2 to 3 weeks, and that one starts at midnight. Ugh, yuck. I've never run a race that started in the middle of the night yet. I don't think I'm gonna either. No, I'm not. I like the 7 in the morning start or 8 in the morning start, and then running into the night. But I don't know. Anyways, back on point. The first time you do it, it feels really weird. It's strange, because your brain realizes something that you can't see far ahead. So, and I kind of vaguely remember the first time I ran on a trail alone in the dark. I had my headlamp on. I stepped onto that trail and everything felt different. The hair on the back of my neck stuck up. And I'm not generally a scaredy cat unless it's ground hornets and I get scared. But anyways, because in the day you can see that whole trail. You can see the climb coming. You can see the ridges. You can see the terrain. You can see everything in the woods. Well, kind of. But at night, all you see is that small circle of light. And everything outside that circle disappears. So your brain wants visibility. Your brain wants control. Your brain wants to know what's coming. Your brain wants to know what's in the woods, right? But the running in the dark forces you to let go of all of that. And then, so you focus on the next few steps. And that mindset shift is actually really super important in ultra running. But before I get into that deep lesson, the deep thoughts of that, I want to talk about gear, because gear is awesome. I like gear. And, but with with gear, it's something's going to go wrong, right? So if you run at night long enough, eventually you're going to F it up, right? You're going to have a light fail. Your headlamp, you're going to experience that flicker in your headlamp because you forgot to charge it, right? Oh my God, the flicker it's got to be one of the worst feelings in this sport is when your headlamp flickers and you don't have a backup because you're an idiot. Everyone knows what I'm talking about. But God, what an awful feeling. And then your battery, your battery just flat out dies, or it just stops working, right? And if you never experienced any of those, let me tell you something. It sucks. It's awful, because I've had headlamps die mid-run before. And then you're suddenly standing there in the middle of the trail thinking, well, this ain't good. I can't see shit. So then hopefully you have your iPhone with you. You pull that out, you turn your flashlight on, you try to keep moving. But okay, at your house when like you get a storm, the power goes out, or you forget to pay your electric bill or something, you flip on your iPhone light and you're like, this thing's amazing. But after using a headlamp on a trail, it sucks. The iPhone flashlight is terrible for lighting up a trail. It really is. So your depth perception is going to suck. That beam of light is too weak for the trail. And then you're just walking, literally. And then you'll realize that your gear matters more than you thought. For reals. But all right. So when it comes to running in the dark, a lot of runners fall into two camps, right? You got your headlamp users and you got your waist lamp users. And I was huge. When I started out, I didn't know anything of waist lamps, so I was team headlamp, and then I found waist lamps, and then I was team waist lamp all the way. So, but both have strengths and both have weaknesses. And after years, I've experimented with different setups. I've become a big fan of using both the past couple months, for real. So, and before I dive more into my setup and why I think that's awesome, let's talk about the advantages and disadvantages of each. So headlamps, they're probably the most commonly used. The biggest advantage is actually the visibility distance, and your headlamp actually points to where you're looking, right? Because you're turning your head, unless you're doing that creepy eye thing. But no, so when you turn your head, your headlamp's going to follow, right? And so, the light follows your gaze. That makes it really useful for looking down far the trail, or spotting turns, or navigating super technical sections, trying to find trail markers, right? You need to look quickly left or right. That light moves instantly, right? If there's a big scary monster rumbling in the bush and you want to look really quick, you just snap your head over and that light follows you. And that's something that, unless you got quick hips, right? It's something that waist lamps can't do, especially if you're on super technical stuff and you want to look over really quick. I mean, and they just can't do it, right? And another advantage is distance illumination. So headlamps usually project light farther down the trail than waist lamps. So if you're moving fast downhill or trying to spot the next section of trail, that extra range can be really, really helpful. All right. So headlamp disadvantages, because everything has a disadvantage, right? One of the biggest issues is depth perception, because the light is coming from your forehead and shadows fall differently. So the rocks, sometimes roots look flatter than what they actually are. It can make technical terrain a little trickier to read. And then the other issue is bounce. If you get some of the big, if you're like one of them guys, or if it's just a really heavy headlamp, it'll bounce on you. Or if you don't have the straps just tight enough, it can bounce. And that bouncing and constant movement of light can make your eyes work a little harder. It could also, most of these lights now are super light, but if you got a big heavy one, it could add to neck fatigue. So I would not recommend wearing a heavier headlamp. I mean, there's so many awesome ones out there now. I wouldn't worry too much about that. So now moving forward, waist lamps, advantages. All right, so this is where waist lamps shine. Literally, waist lamps sit lower on your body. All right, so the light hits the ground at a different angle. They create better shadows and improves depth perception, of the rocks and the roots of the uneven terrain. It just becomes easier to see. All right, and this is why myself and a lot of other runners love them. And then the thing I love the most about it is stability. It doesn't bounce around like some of my prior headlamps have. The beam stays steady. Literally, on the trail, it's steady. It's not bouncing up and down. It ain't moving all over in my head. And it makes running feel smoother. It really does. Now, I'm a huge fanboy of UltraSpire. No, I'm not sponsored. I'm not paid by him. I truly love a lot like their products. They have served me well. I am a big user of the 850 Dual. That's my waist lamp, is the UltraSpire 850 Dual. I think it's fantastic. They're not paying me to say this, by the way. I've used it on a couple 100-milers solely. I haven't used a headlamp. I mean, but they were at the mines of Spain. It's not super technical like the Colorado, and that lamp performed excellent. And let me back up again too. Like, okay, so the waist lamp, another huge advantage, I think, that they cut through fog and you can see better in the rain. It's where the headlamp, when you're looking down, all that moisture is right in front of your eyes, whereas the waist lamp, it cuts through it a little better. So I think the waist lamp performs way better in rain, fog, snow. Okay. Anyway, so it poured down rain last year, and that I solely used the 850 Duo. I had no issues with lighting. All right. Super comfortable. Yeah, just the 850 Duo. And like I said, you know, it's not insanely technical here in Iowa like Colorado. So it performed great. And I'm going to keep wearing that Duo for every altar for the rest of my life as long as it keeps working. Like the battery, the batteries. I keep getting batteries to replace it with and whatnot. They should never discontinue that light. It's phenomenal. It's absolutely phenomenal. I got the 600. No, I got the 400 too. The 400's awesome. What I don't like about the UltraSpire 400 is it is a circle. And so like when you look down, this is just me being crazy. I could see the circle, right? And so the 850, because I've used the 850 for so long, 850 is awesome. I don't even wear it on high beam. I got it on medium, super bright. Battery lasts well over 4 hours. Anyways, so I'll wear that the rest of my life. All right. Waist lamps, disadvantages. Waist lamps, the downside is range. So typically the light doesn't project as far down the trail as a headlamp will. So if you're trying to see way, way, way ahead, the headlamp does a better job of that. And the main downside is the waist lamp only points to where your torso faces. So not where your eyes look. So if you're trying to scan the trail, look off to the side, you got to turn your hips. You can't do that when you're running downhill or trying to power hike uphill. You have to stop, turn your hips. You know what I mean? So that's a huge disadvantage. And that is why I am moving to running with both. Okay. I mean, you get the best of two worlds, right? And I mean, they're so light anymore. You don't have to worry. Oh my gosh, you got an extra 8 ounces on my head. No. So waist lamp, headlamp, waist lamp lights the ground, headlamp lights farther down the trail. Together, they paint a great picture of the terrain. So that's what I'm going to be using for the Uray. My headlamp's going to be the Black Diamond LT 1100. I'm not paid by them either. I'm not sponsored. I shouldn't even have to say that. I am a mid of the pack dude. I am not good at running. No one knows who the hell I am. I'm a no one. No one's going to pay me to wear their products. Jeez. Anyways, so I'm going to go with this Black Diamond, the 1100. I had Petzl headlamp before. It lasted forever. It's just the battery. It's heavier. And I can't get a replacement battery for it anymore. And it's on the tail end of that. So it's not lasting very long. It's what happens. Batteries, whatever. So, but I'm going to try this Black Diamond one out. They're, very comparable. But yeah, so I'm going to give that a go. And sketchy batteries you don't want to deal with. So I upgraded my headlamp. And yeah. And another big reason why I'm moving to the 2 is because redundancy, right? Because if one of the gears fails, one of the batteries dies, I have a backup right on me that'll get me to my next point, right? Yeah. So, and then that's my next point right here too that I have my outline is whenever I run at night now, I try to have a primary light and a secondary light. So in worst case scenario, you should always carry there's no reason not to carry I know people are like, I don't want my phone, it's a distraction. There's no reason if you're trail running, carry your dang phone on you. I mean, what if you break I have broke my foot on a trail. I was a mile out. up a big ass hill too. I had to roll down the damn thing. That was 3 years ago, by the way, people. Always carry a phone on you. Throw your pride out the window, but that's your worst case scenario. You got your phone flashlight. It isn't great, but if everything else dies, it'll help you get back, and then one simple thing I could recommend to you: charge your lights, make it part of your routine. Okay. You set your shoes out, you set your watch out, charge your watch too. Lights done. Okay. Plug your lights in. If you're running in the morning, I don't care if you think you have 3 hours left on that battery, just plug it in and give it a full charge. Seriously. I've been that guy. That said, I charged it 2 days ago and I ran in 1 hour yesterday. I have 3 hours left and I'm only doing an hour in the morning, and it didn't last. So just charge them. If you're going to run in the morning, charge them overnight. And if you're going to run at night, charge them during the day. All right. For real. Another thing here too, another lesson is, I always say you get what you pay for. Use the manufacturer's batteries. For real. I have tried to cheap it with the UltraSpire stuff. Sorry. You should always buy from the manufacturer. For real. I copied the exact specs to the batteries and went on Amazon, bought other style batteries to save $10 a battery or whatever. And those are the ones that failed at the Mines of Spain 100. And that's why I had to run next to my pacer without a headlamp for 2 miles. So you get what you pay for. Use the manufacturer's batteries and charge them. All right. That's gear. I love gear. Dude, UltraSpire waist lamps, the bomb. I'll tell you how I set mine up too. So, on runs where I don't need to carry water, like on my half-hour runs, or on runs during the winter, I know you should still carry water, but that are 5 miles or less, I just use the pack that the lamps come with. They're super comfortable. They come with the pouch in the back. You can put your phone in, maybe a car key hook, use your car key hooks. But I also have their synaptic belts too, and they have a 500 ml bottle with them. So it's perfect for your short runs of the summer. It goes right in your back. You can get this attachment that's called the Lumen Ally, and your headlamp will clip right on that. Then you get your bottle in the back. You got a pouch to put some poopy wipes, your key in. And then in the front, you can still stuff your phone in, maybe a goo in. But I ran in that synaptic belt 2 100 milers. That's it. No vest. I had an aid station every 5 miles, but still worked out fantastic. I love that setup. The light doesn't bounce in it. What I'm going to use for Uray is I got their mountain racer belt, and I'm just going to be able to stuff a ton of fuel in that thing and maybe a spare water bottle in the back. And then it comes with the waist light attachment too. And that's what I'll be using for my waist lamp in the mountains of the San Juan. So that's what I use. Highly recommend those products. And no, I'm not paid. All right. So lessons for ultras. This is exactly how ultras work. You can't think about the entire race. I keep saying that over and over and over again. All right. If you stand on the starting line thinking about the 100 miles, you're going to mentally break. So instead, focus on the next section, the next aid station, the next climb. That's just like running with a headlamp. That's why I love it, because you're just focusing on this small space in front of you. You just keep chasing it, right? And eventually, you're going to reach the finish line. That's why I love running in the dark. You just chase that little circle. All right. And then that's like lessons in life too, right? So running in the dark, it actually reminds me a lot like working in healthcare as a nurse or a medic. Because just like running in the dark where you can't see everything, you don't know what the next corner is going to bring, yada, yada, yada. It's like medicine too, because you don't know what the hell is going to walk through that ER door. You don't know what's going to be flown into your ICU. You don't know what's going to, if you're working on an ambulance, you don't know what the hell you're getting into half the time. Even in a clinic, even in a peds clinic, you don't know who's going to call in. You don't know how sick Billy's going to get. Billy could come here with a fever and he could be really, really sick. You have no clue. Every day is different. You could have shit fall apart on a med surg floor, and you just handle it, right? You just handle the next patient, the next problem, the next moment. Parenting works the same way. Parenting's crazy, kids. And life works the same way. We're all just moving forward with a small beam of light in front of us. For real, for real, for real. And I just got one more thing to go back to. I just remembered. My gosh, people, I'm gonna go on a little rant here. I love everybody. I love everybody on the trails. Everybody's so nice, but my God, can we go away? You do not need to illuminate the entire tree line. You don't need to illuminate the entire face of the mountain. My God, people, I'm seeing more and more people out there with like train lights on. Like, Jesus, it's like I can't, I had to yell I didn't yell, but I said I can't see this person had to been 30 yards in front of me or coming the other way or 50 yards. And I know it's the middle of the night. They're probably destroyed just as I was. But I was like, I had to stop. I couldn't see. Like they had a train beam on or a barge light on them. And I'm like, what? My God, people, just there needs to be a happy medium, but common courtesy, point your headlamps down to, I know I forget to do this. Point your headlamp down. They all adjust when you come. I mean, if you don't see anybody coming, but you could see the headlamps coming, turn them down, point them down to the ground, put your waist lamps down. It's just common courtesy. You don't want to blind anybody coming towards you. I mean, work together, right? And then two, this is my other thing too. And I forget this all the time. Guilty. When you go into an aid station, point it down too. The aid station workers don't need to be blinded either. I forget this all the time. And then I realize it because, they're making that weird face like, I can't see. And then I'm like, oh shit, sorry. So those are just two house cleaning things there with lights. But if you're running in the dark, all right, the key takeaways here. If you're running in the dark, a few things help, right? Dial in your lighting gear. Again, practice. You got to practice with this shit. Just don't go be like, well, Brad, I'm going to go run 100K at night. And Brad said he likes this belt, so I'm going to go use it. No, train in it. Dial it in to your liking. Understand the strength and weaknesses of your products, of your headlamps, of your waist lamps. All right. Consider running with both of them. I love running with both of them now. I'm a dual setup. It seems like overkill. I don't care. I'm doing works for me too. And then I don't have to have them both on. I run with both of them on low and it works absolutely fantastic. Have a backup plan so you don't get stranded out there. Right? So now I got two lights on me in case one dies. I still have another one. Then I always have my phone on me. All right. And then charge your lights. My God, people. Brad, I'm reminding myself now to charge your headlamps. All right. And then remember, again, you don't need to see the entire trail, just the next few steps. All right. And in life too. Okay. All right. So I'm going to stop talking for today. That's running in the dark. I love it. Love all of you. Thanks for spending part of your run or your drive, maybe your shift with me. I hope this episode has helped, giving you a little insight or whatever. And if you know another runner who could use it, share this with them and make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the next episode. And follow the show. Reach out, hit us up on our socials. I'd appreciate it if you gave us a follow on Instagram or TikTok or follow our YouTube channel. It helps more than what you think. And if you or anybody else you know would like to be a guest on the show, I think I'm going to start talking to people so I stop being weird solo here. And there's plenty of people out there that can give us some help and funny stories and insights and whatnot. And so I'd love to have some conversations with people like that. So, and if you also got time, leave a rating, drop a comment, and I appreciate the hell out of you being here. Now go rip some miles.